Alright, welcome back, class. Again, we're going over finding the factors. And again, I told you my preference of using synthetic division over long division because, again, we saw that it works better. But again, if you want to try it, I'll leave that up to you. Go ahead and try this, divide it using log division. Hopefully that's much easier for you. You're going to have to go try it at home. Okay? Alright, so let me see. I'll let you do number 10 and number 12. Let's go ahead and do number 11. If you notice, we haven't really covered something with the fourth degree polynomial. Okay, so we're going to have to do something a little bit different, but we're going to go ahead and see. So f of x, 4x to the 4th, 26x cubed. So since I'm going to do synthetic division, I'm going to go ahead and solve for x. Subtract 7, so x is equal to -7. Okay? And is my polynomial in standard form? Y equals 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So it is in standard form. So that just means that I don't have to add any zeros. All right. So the leading coefficient here is 4. This one is 26, -8, 39, and -21. And again, going back to this thing about factoring, since they already give us a factor, they said you should already know that this polynomial is factorable. So your answer at the end should be 0. If it's not, that means you're doing something wrong. So either you're adding or multiplying something wrong. So go back and try to find your mistake. Alright, so in order for this to work, remember, we have to bring down the 4. And let's go ahead and start multiplying. So 4 times -7 is -28. And now I have -28 plus 26 gives me -2. -2 times -7 is +14. 14 plus -8 is +6. 6 times -7 is -42. -42 plus 39 is +3. And 3 times -7 is, sorry, that should be a negative. -3 times -7 should be +21. Okay. Alright, and 21 minus 21 is 0. So voila, we did it correctly. Okay. Alright, this is a little bit different just because we're dividing something of a degree 4 by something of a degree of 1. So this is not x squared, okay? This is actually 4x cubed minus 2x squared plus 6x minus squared. Okay. And now I've showed you 2 different ways to factor something of a cubic. Either you use cubic formula, which we can't, because there's more than 2 terms, okay? So we could use box method or we could do grouping. So again, Mr. Brown likes box method, so let's go ahead and do the box method, okay? So I'm gonna move over to the middle board. All right, so we have 4x cubed minus 2x squared plus 6x minus 3 equal to 0. So go ahead and create yourself a box. Remember that we're going to cross multiply. And when we check, okay, before we added terms, but here we don't have to add. The answer is actually given to us. Look at it. This is our goal now. Our goal is trying to get -2x squared plus 6x. If you get this, then you're done, okay? Remember that your factors go horizontally. And again, the reason I like box method, You're going to find out in just a moment why. Okay. So, how do we get 4x cubed? Okay, there's two different ways. You either get positive 2 times positive 2, positive 1 times positive 4. That's the positives because we have positives and negatives. Remember, the rule of thumb was always keep these positive, change this one into negative. So, if you look at your answer though, you have a 2 and a 6. Nowhere here do you see a 4 or a 1. So you have to use 2x squared times x. And how do we get negative 3? Okay. Well, if you look here, there is no negative 3 here. Okay. But if you multiply negative 3 here, negative 3 times 2 is actually 6. Okay. So there's something wrong here. Okay. I'm missing a 2 here. I found my own mistake. Okay. 2 times 2 is 4. X times x squared is x cubed. Okay. All right. So therefore, the 3 has to be up here, and this one has to be negative 1. And when you cross multiply, you know that 2x squared times negative 1 is negative 2x squared. 2x times positive 3 is 6x. Okay. So we don't have to cancel anything out, we just have to be able to get what's in the middle. So again, that's why I like box method so much, because it works with 2 terms, 3 terms, and actually 4 terms. Okay. So we're actually done here. So our answer is 2x squared plus 3 2x minus 1, and don't forget the original one that was given to us, x plus 7. Okay. And that is your factors. So again, you could have also done grouping, but again, I'm going to let you do that at home. You guys can figure that out on yourself. You already know what the answers are. And if you have trouble, you could always come to class. That's what I want. Those are the questions I'm looking for. Mr. Mira, how do you do grouping for this? Then I could show you. But again, I want you to try at home. All right, so that's how we find the factors of a polynomial of degree 4 or a polynomial of degree 3. Again, like I said before, we don't really go into polynomial of degree 5, only for your homework, but I think I didn't assign it. Okay. All right. So again, I did example 9 and 11. Go ahead and do 10 and 12. All right. So this here, okay, we're going to take it a little bit step forward. Okay. We've been finding the factors. The only step that I'm going to add is I'm actually going to have you solve for your factors. So we have to keep on going. So we're actually going to solve for the zeros, the roots, the x-intercepts. Okay, that's what we're doing here. So we're still going to be using synthetic division. Okay, so let's go ahead and do number 13. Alright, so this is just using the factor theorem, which you could go back to the slide and look at it. It's pretty much telling you that if you were to plug in negative 1, you would get 0. Okay, so let's go ahead and put negative 1 here. And you look at your polynomial, is it in standard form? And it is. It's 3, then comes 2, then comes 1, and this is 0. So it's going to be 1, positive 2, the leading coefficients, negative 1, negative 2. And again, since I know this is a 0, your answer at the end should also be a 0. If it's not, then you probably did some mathematical error somewhere, so go back and check your work. Remember that we're multiplying and adding. Always bring down the first term. 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. Negative 1 plus 2 is positive 1. 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. This is negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. And 2 minus 2 is 0. So we did this correctly. All Alright, so let's look back at our polynomial. We're actually dividing something by a degree 3 by a degree of 1. Okay? So this is actually x squared plus x minus 2 equal to 0. And again, like I said before, we've done box method so many times that I'm going to skip it. I'm going to do mental math. You go ahead and do box method on your own time. Negative 2 should be x plus 2, x minus 1. Okay? So 2x minus x gives me positive x. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Okay? Let's go ahead and solve this. I'm going to move this to the middle. So we have 0 product property says that x plus 2 is equal to 0, x minus 1 is equal to 0, subtract 2, x is equal to negative 2, add 1, x is equal to positive 1. Okay. So x is equal to negative 2, x is equal to 1. And how do you know how many zeros you have? Well, let's look back at our polynomial. If it has a degree 3, it means that it could have up to 3 solutions. We found 2, the other one is right here. Okay, so you could write your answers as x equals negative 2, negative 1, and then positive 1. Alright, so we're just taking it a step further from what we did previously. Instead of stopping here at our factors, we're just adding the 0 and we're actually solving for our x-intercepts, our roots, so on and so forth. Alright. Alright, so I want you to do number, let's see. I want you to do 14 and 16. This one's a bit tricky, okay? Be careful. I'll let you figure that out on your own. Let's go ahead and do number 15. Alright, so again, we want to do synthetic division. They told us that x is equal to 2, so I'm going to put 2 here. And remember that we're multiplying on the outside, we're adding on the inside. Alright, if you look at your polynomial, our polynomial is not in standard form. There's a term missing. It goes 3, 2, 1, then 4. So this is 1, negative 3. So it's 3, 2, 1 is missing, so I'm going to add a 0. Then I go to 4. If you don't add the 0, you're going to get a different answer than myself. Okay? Not only are you going to get a different answer than myself, you're not even going to get 0 here. Okay? And again, how do we know that it's 0? Because again, they told us that they give us one of the zeros and we have to actually solve for the other zeros, so it's factorable. Bring down the 1. 2 times 1 is 2. 3 plus 2 is negative 1. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Sorry, I forgot my little arrows here. Negative 2 plus 0 is negative 2. And negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. And voila, we get 0. Okay. So again, let's go ahead and factor this out. We're factoring something of a degree 3 by a degree 1. So this means that this is x squared minus x minus 2 is equal to 0. Again, like before, we've done box method so many times, I'll let you do that on your own. Okay. You should get x minus 2, x plus 1 equal to 0. Take it one step further, because they want the zeros. X minus 2 is equal to 0, x plus 1 is equal to 0. Add 2 to both sides here. X is equal to 2. Subtract 1 here. X is equal to negative 1. Okay. So if you look back at the polynomial though, it's a degree 3. You're going to say, where's the other 0, Mr. Mira? Well, it's right here, because you got 0. So there's your answers. We got x is equal to 2, 2, and negative 1. Okay. So we notice that 2 gets repeated. That's okay. Your number could actually get repeated. We're actually going to learn about the fundamental theorem of algebra in section 5.6. Alright, so we covered a lot of material. We did factor a polynomial, we did synthetic division, we did long division, we actually did find the zeros of the polynomial. So that completes this section. Let me go ahead and show you your homework. So again, make sure to do 14 and 16 for homework, but here is your homework from your textbook. All right, see you guys.